Could I crush a coconut? The claw can do whatever must be done. You know, when I was growing up, I was very shy, very bashful. I'm a middle child. I have an older brother, a younger brother, and I don't know if you've heard of the middle child syndrome, but I have that. I'm very shy, very bashful, kind of backwards. When I was breaking in, we were going back to when I was breaking into wrestling, Vern Gagne would have me do an interview occasionally as Jim Rashke. Well, Jim, how do you like being a professional wrestler? And I'd say, Marty, Marty, Vern, you got to get that kid so he can talk, He's just terrible in interview, And I was, Suddenly I was the Baron Von Rashke, at that time Baron Fritz Von Rashke, and they said, they asked me a question, and I went, I will do this and I will do that, and that is all the people. I think the Baron is actually part of me. He was my hidden alter ego all these years, He can say things, and he can be animated, and he can do a lot of things that little Jimmy Rashke from Nebraska is just too timid and too shy to bother with. Wrestling's always been one of the most watched TV shows. From the beginning, it was always a very highly rated show, even the local shows that we sometimes thought were silly. Vern had given me the prestigious job of driving the ring truck, setting up the ring, and refereeing in all the various towns around what we called the territory. I would collect the house and take that back to the office for Wally and Vern to divide which way they wanted. Sure. On Saturdays, I had to set up the ring at the old Dykeman Hotel where they had a little studio. That's where they did the TV wrestling. Professional wrestling was ideally suited for early TV because you could do the shows in a small studio, small area. You could use 2 cameras. Back then the cameras weren't nearly as good as they are now. They were big, huge monster things, and it was at that time it was hard to do a football game. It was hard to do a baseball game. Shoot a tape that day, and they'd bicycle it around the whole territory. I was watching the matches from the control booth. The wrestlers would walk by the open door. Pretty boy Larry Hennig and Handsome Harley Race at the time, and it would be Jay York the Alaskan and the Big K at the time, and it would be up and coming, always capable Kenny J at the time. And he's still at. Anyway, a wrestler was called to go to the ring, and as he passed the door, he stopped, which none of them had ever done before, and he looked into the room, and he pointed at me, and he says, "You'd make a good German!" I was shocked, because nobody ever spoken to me before, and nobody like that anyway. And he went to the ring, and come to find out, of course, it was Mad Dog Vachon who was flying into the territory, doing the TV, and flying out right away. So I never had a chance to meet him. But the next week, I was there minding my own business, watching intently as the wrestlers did their things out in the arena and watched their interviews. This guy comes by and he stops at the doorway. "You'd make a good German!" And I says, "Well, I am German." I didn't say it like that. I said, "I am German." And I guess he laughed and walked to the ring and did his business. And he saw me wrestle a few times. And he says, "I would like you to come up to Quebec, Canada and be my partner." I says, "Well, okay." Mad Dog wanted to call me Baron Von Pumpkin, but I said, no, I'm not going for that. It'll be a lot of heat. And I said, no, I don't think so. I think he was thinking of Von Poppenheim, but no. I said, I'll use my own last name. It's German enough. So Vince McMahon Jr. He bought his dad's business, the WWF, which was territory that included a lot of big populous states. New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, the East Coast, the New England states, more or less. It wasn't the tightest run ship. It didn't have to be because they had so many people to draw from. And Vince McMahon Sr. always respected the other promoters. He would work with them, and they were exchanging talent, working together. But then Junior had the idea that all of these big towns, I think I would go pick those cherries. And what he would do is he would actually go pay a TV studio to put his show on. Yeah. Before that, all the territories would basically be able to have their show on for free. And they'd barter back and forth about how much time they could give it into promos for their shows. So he'd go around and he'd pay big money to a TV station, and they'd say, well, sure, I'd rather get money for this than do it for, and still be able to sell ads and stuff, which sure. They did. So they were, they could double dip, I guess. Anyway, so he won a lot of TV stations, and pretty soon, some of the promoters that had been in business for years and years, they would lose their TV because he'd come in and make them a better offer. That had a lot to do with the demise of the territories. Vern and other promoters, they got a little bit angry that Vince had come into their territory. This is my territory. I don't like it. I'm going to go take something from Vince. So one of the things Vern did is he started running competitive shows in New Jersey. So he was running competition against them and concentrating on that so much that Vince would sneak in and he would buy the TV in Fargo. He would buy the TV in Omaha. Vern's tape couldn't be bicycled anymore to all these various markets, so you couldn't run shows there because nobody knew you were coming. This was a blitzkrieg, yeah. Vince's blitzkrieg. They're missing the real characters that developed over years of time. Mad Dog Vachon didn't become Mad Dog until 14 years into his career. He was Maurice Vachon up to that time. The Crusher wasn't the Crusher. He was Reggie Lazowski. Dick the Bruiser wasn't the Bruiser right off the football field. He became the Bruiser. I think Vince McMahon has this idea of, he puts down his copy of the Wall Street Journal, he picks up his comic books and he looks at that and pages through it and he says, oh, that'd be a good name for that guy, and that'll be a good name for that guy, and pretty soon you get Winky, Dinky, and Flopsy out there in the ring, and they have this interesting name, but what they do is kind of, I don't know, it's a lot of it's spectacular, but it's kind of silly and it doesn't have any meaning, and Winky looks like Dinky and Dinky looks like Winky, and it's not a family entertainment anymore. It used to be a family-oriented thing where grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, the little kids, the grandkids, they'd all be sitting around on grandma and grandpa's knee and they'd be watching wrestling on TV, and it was a family event, a family gathering. Now to me, I don't think you should even allow your children to watch it. It's just, it's gotten to be almost like pornographic to me. It's very sad. I'm appalled,
A jobber is basically any wrestler who's not getting a push who puts over guys.
To make someone else look good, to lose for someone else.
A jobber to me is one of the best wrestlers in the business because they love the business so much they don't care what they do out there.
We're all jobbers, we're all jabronis in some way.
I don't know one person named Jay Brony.
He's right behind your head. Look at your head.
They do whatever they're told for the better of the business and because they love the business.
Jobber, someone paid to lose.
Do you understand that, or you got a thick head?
Baby!
Here, asshole! Here's your breast hole.